Welcome to Salad with a Side of Fries. I'm your host, Jen Trepic, talking wellness and weight loss for real life. We're here to clear up the myths, misinformation, bad science, and marketing to teach you how to eat and how to cheat. Are you ready? I'm having salad with a side of fries. This week, we're talking about Purslane. And I'm willing to bet that you've probably never heard of it, and you have seen it. You've seen it and likely thought it was a weed. In reality, though, it's a superfood. So where have you seen it? It's what tends to grow in the cracks of the sidewalk. For real, it's wild. So there's a lot of things that are interesting about this, so it's technically a succulent, which is why it can grow in those spots that are like dry and hot. Also, if you're like me, it's perfect for the people who can't remember to water a flower or a plant or grow a garden. So Purslane might be the thing that you want to add to your home garden. Now, sometimes it's called pigweed, little hogweed, fatweed, or Purslane. That's spelled P-U-S-L-E-Y, but it's pronounced Purslane or Purslane, whatever. Anyway, you can eat it raw or cooked, and we'll talk about some ways that you could try it. But first, I think we want to look at some of the superfood qualities and why we might want to give it a shot. So remember, we've talked about this before. To qualify as a superfood, it's about the ratio of nutrients to calories. And this one packs a punch. So it even has omega-3 fatty acids in it. So Purslane is one of the most nutrient-dense foods on the planet. In Chinese folklore, it's known as a vegetable for long life. So why is it a vegetable for long life? Let's talk about the nutrition. So it's 93% water. So all of these facts are based on 100 grams, which is like 3.5 ounces, or essentially it's like a little more than 2 cups is what I figured out. So in that amount of little over 2 cups, it has 20 calories, 2 grams of protein, about 0.4 grams of fat. I'm rounding on that. Technically, it says 0.36. Like 3.4 grams of carbs, of which it's less than 1 gram of fiber. And then with the micronutrients, we see more of its value. So it's packed with vitamin C, lots of vitamin A, a good amount of magnesium, manganese, potassium, and iron, plus some calcium. And then there's small amounts of vitamins B1, B2, B3, folate, all B vitamins, and then copper and phosphorus. So let's look into these for a second. Now, omega-3s are essential fatty acids, and we've talked about this before. When something is essential, it means the body can't make it. We have to take it or get it through our nutrition. And we often think of animal sources for omega-3s. Now, Purslane is relatively high in omega-3s when you look at the caloric density. So most of the time, something that's only 20 calories in a couple cups isn't going to give us this kind of nutrient, but Purslane does. And then in particular on the omega-3s, it gives us ALA and some EPA. So EPA is one of the ones that's typically in animal products or algae. The ALA, when you compare it to other greens, it is multitudes more. Like compared to spinach, Purslane has like 5 to 7 times more ALA, one of our omega-3s. And then on the micronutrients, we mentioned vitamin C, vitamin E, and vitamin A. All of those in the body function like antioxidants. So as we've talked about before, vitamin C we can think of for tissue health, even immune system support. Vitamin E supports cellular health. Vitamin A supports eye health. Purslane also has glutathione, which we've talked about before. Glutathione is the body's master antioxidant. And then one that we haven't talked about before, maybe I should do a nutrition nugget on it, is betalain. So this is another antioxidant. It's in Purslane. And in the body, Betaline may protect LDL, the low-density lipoprotein, what's often referred to as the bad cholesterol. It can protect these particles from damage. So go back to some of our heart health episodes, like It Takes Heart and Matters of the Heart, where we talk about really some of the nuances of heart health and understanding cholesterol. But essentially, LDL itself isn't necessarily so damaging. It's when that LDL is oxidized or damaged. So I digress on the LDL. Okay, the minerals. So we've talked about a bunch of minerals in Purslane. Potassium, we know for supporting healthy blood sugar. Magnesium, we've discussed before. It's an incredibly important mineral. Like magnesium itself is used in more than like 300 enzymatic processes in the body or enzymatic reactions. You can think of magnesium as like whole health, right? But often people think of it for heart health, blood sugar balance, head comfort. Calcium is in there too, which again supports, our bone health and a whole host of things. Purslane is also a good source of potassium. So potassium as a mineral helps regulate blood pressure. High potassium intake has been linked to lower risk of stroke and may reduce the risk of heart disease. The more on the magnesium piece, magnesium also may protect against heart disease and type 2 diabetes. And then the calcium, I mentioned bone health, but also muscle health too. And with all of these nutrients, right, when we take the omega-3s, antioxidants, vitamins and minerals, overarching things that we could think of is number one for me is heart health, right? Again, the omega-3s, the antioxidants, potassium, magnesium. And then there was one study that was particularly interesting to me for two reasons. One, because it was actually on Purslane. And two, because it was on teenagers, which is very unusual. So it was a study that looked at obese teenagers. They were given either placebo or a capsule containing 500 milligrams of powdered Purslane seeds. They took that 2 times a day for a month. The group that had the 500 milligrams of powdered Purslane seeds twice a day saw reduced LDL, reduced bad cholesterol, and triglyceride levels compared to the placebo. With all the antioxidants, we can think anti-cancer properties. There is some research that Purslane may help reduce fasting blood sugar. And then again, as I mentioned before, with all of these nutrients, it's like bone health, eye health, even liver support, potentially gut health. So lots of benefits. Oh, this was an interesting study I put in my notes on the gut health thing. Research shows that 25% of children with Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis or inflammatory bowel, like these are all inflammatory bowel diseases, but they have a vitamin A deficiency. And adults with these disorders also have a higher risk of deficiency. So given Purslane's vitamin A content, this is interesting. And then there was another really interesting study, although it was a small group of people, but it was double-blind, placebo-controlled clinical trial that found biologically female participants who ate Purslane seeds at specific times during their menstrual cycle experienced less blood loss and cycles lasted fewer days. So I don't know. It's interesting, right? Maybe we want to give this superfood weed a shot. So I think the thing to keep in mind, yes, a lot of these studies use the seeds. And if you're using the plant, I've read it's probably advised to, one, have a more mature plant, so not the baby ones, in order to get higher amounts of the minerals. And the other caveat in this is you're probably going to have to go to like a farmer's market or a specialty grocery store, or maybe add it to your own garden. You know, like I said, it doesn't need a ton of water, but we're probably going to have to do that if you want to try it. It could be a fun new thing to add. And this is the time of year to grow it. So go for it. Okay. Let's talk about identifying it in the store, maybe growing it yourself. So like we said, we want the more mature plant. We want it to be a little bit bigger. It's going to have red stems with small green leaves. And the taste is described as similar to like watercress. So maybe a little bit sour or salty. Like it has a little bit of flavor. Some people have described it like spinach, but spinach is probably the best way to think about how to use it. So anywhere you use spinach, you could swap it out for purslane. So it could be raw in salads or on a sandwich. You could cook it and make it a side dish. Again, just like spinach, it could be steamed or sauteed or added to other things. Like, I think this is a place where Google can really be your friend because the possibilities are endless. Like, I was actually blown away by the number of pairings and recommendations I found for using purslane on the internet. So you could even use it to make like a chimichurri sauce or a pesto. It pairs, like, it could be super simple, just like olive oil, garlic, onions as a side dish. And it was even recommended for like any kind of protein, like fish, pork, lamb, lentils. Like, it works with anything. You could throw it in a soup or smoothie. Like I said, options are endless. One caveat to all of this, though, is that purslane does contain oxalates. So oxalates, kind of two caveats on, what oxalates can do. For some people, they can contribute to kidney stones, and they are an anti-nutrient. So they may interfere with the absorption of other nutrients like minerals, like calcium, magnesium, things like that. So if you're concerned about oxalates, here are a couple options. You could grow it yourself and make sure it gets lots of sunlight. So apparently there's some research that if the purslane is grown in the shade, it has more oxalates compared to the ones that are grown in sunlight or more sunlight. And the other recommendation is that research shows if you put it with yogurt, so maybe you use yogurt and make like a tzatziki sauce with it, the yogurt may reduce the amount of the oxalates. So options, but there you have it. Here's a new food, not just a food, a superfood masquerading as a weed. Wild. Well, as always, everybody, I'm your host, Jen Trepeck. Connect with me on Instagram or all social media. I am at Jen Trepeck, JenNTrepeck. Website is asaladwithasideoffries.com. Please send a message. I want to hear your takeaways, your ideas, your questions. If you want Salad with a Side of Fries live in your area. Plus, this is also the easiest way to learn more about working with me as your health coach. Thank you again to Katie Bramlett for joining us this week. And friends, if you are not already, join our membership program by going to glow.fm/salad with a side of fries to show your support for this podcast, this community, and most importantly, truly support your health. You'll get this week's recipe for the most delicious gazpacho. Well, friends, that's it for today's episode of Salad with a Side of Fries. Congratulations for making yourself and your health a priority. Thanks so much for joining us. Be sure to click subscribe or follow on your favorite podcast platform. Share us with a friend, and we'll be back next week. Always remember, you deserve it, and you are worth it. Happy healthy.